It's always around a move like this one that I end up getting the same questions that I always get at the same time. Should I buy here or should I short here? Well, first of all, we told you once we get above this area, chances of a short squeeze are on, and we never really have seen a pullback. And the last time we saw big gap ups like this, well, into some kind of squeeze, what ends up happening? Well, we end up bouncing way up and we do not end up getting a pullback for quite some time. We could ride this 5-day moving average for quite a long time. So should you buy here? Should you short here? We're going to get into that a little bit today as we do some technical analysis for the SPY Qs, Apple, Tesla, Amazon, Nvidia, and AMD going forward, and Meta actually. And then we're also going to go into things like volatility. We're going to go into gold and oil a little bit and show you guys how they've been reacting to the SPY lately. So we're going to point out a lot of useful things, but I just wanted to talk about the other side to those questions. If you are someone who is asking those questions regularly, you need to take a step back. You need to gain more skills in here. And I'm not saying that to be rude or blunt or anything like that. I'm just giving it to you straight. Do you know how many people I ask before I take a trade if I should buy or sell in that area? Zero. And I want you to be one of those people. The goal of this channel is to help you learn first off. It is to help and then use it later on once you gain those skills as a second opinion. And I think that a lot of people right now need to hear that. Do you want to be shorting in a short squeeze? It is very, very difficult, and that's why we're going to get into the SPY. But I just wanted to encourage you to actually dedicate yourself to learning, not just trying to make money. At first, if you are trying to make money in this market, the easier thing to do is going to be learn first and then be able to execute your strategies. I really just felt like that was an important thing, and I wish someone said that to me early on. If I was tuning into live shows asking for someone's opinion, I actually never asked the question, should I buy here? I was always trying to learn, and I think that's what really set me apart from a lot of other traders. But what can we take from the recent price action? Well, we noticed that squeeze came in. What happens with a squeeze? Well, you take out that daily expected move. Now, we're just a little bit above it, but we're noticing a lot of buying with no selling coming in. So at this point, you would say, hey, still a pullback can come, but do you want to short this? No, you do not. This is one of the most difficult things to do, is to short a short squeeze, and it can just trickle up and trickle up and trickle up, and those sellers never come, and you just lose your entire portfolio. So do you want to short here? No. Something that I'm doing as of right now is I'm really scaling out of my longs as we're starting to approach the weekly expected move. Now, why would I do that? Well, because we're approaching the monthly expected move, and I want to be able to pay attention going forward, see what lines up for myself, and then execute my next trade. So at this point, I don't want to have too much exposure either way in order to react once I actually get some more data, once I get some more price action. But do you want to short this? No, you do not. You definitely don't. Now, you could get lucky and be the guy that, you see some kind of pop, you play this, you can play it as smart as you want. But I can tell you right now, if we continue to squeeze, you can do exactly what we did on the daily scale here. We can do that exact same thing we did to those daily expected moves and push past these areas very slowly, and it will frustrate you. So I encourage you to try to learn a lot with this area here and say, anytime there is a short squeeze, even the signals, I'm going to wait for those bigger time frames to show me those signals, because the bigger time frames are in control right now. Now, in a short squeeze, there are a lot of things going on, okay? So this is the SPY on the 30-minute, and we were saying, hey, yeah, pay attention for when that MACD crosses over. But when the MACD crosses over going up like this, well, you want to see selling causing that MACD to curl back over, because right now you could just see this, get some wonky behavior, and that happens a lot in a short squeeze. Now, at this point, what would we say? Well, it looks like the SPY needs to back off. So a lot of what I talk about when I'm live is how I see things as a trader. Do I want to be getting into a move here? No. Do I want to be getting into a move here for upside? No, I do not. So even in this area, I would say, is this the best place to buy? Probably not. It's probably good to wait if you are a trader to see that base out, see some kind of structure in this area, and then make that move higher, getting some kind of breakout. And I say this a lot live. Buying right here is much worse than buying over here, even though it's the same price, because you're allowing the probabilities to add up. You're allowing the price action to tell you what the next move is. And right now, that move is not obvious. The only thing we know from here is we continue to squeeze and those sellers haven't popped up yet. But something for tomorrow that I really want you to pay attention to, 518.97. Very important level. That is our daily expected move for tomorrow, and that's all the options market has priced in, a pretty small move. Now 514.17 is going to be your downside move. So if you get excited outside of that, hey, 68% chance that we bounce from there. But if we get excited out to the upside, this is what I really wanted to talk about. This zone up here is going to be some good resistance. And if we break through that, we can get very, very bullish. We can get very short squeezed to the upside. And therefore, anything you do here, if anything, you could do something like I'm doing. I'm just creating some kind of hedge position and slowly getting out of all of my longs. I can tell you that most of my longs are out at this point, and we're going to talk about gold and oil later on that will really help us out. But for now, I'm starting to get out of my longs because I am very, very fishy about this move. Now the Qs, do you want to fight against this? No, you do not. All that could keep happening is those sellers never show up, but we can pay attention to a couple areas for tomorrow, okay? 443.11 to the upside, and then we have 437.39 to the downside. So we want to pay attention. If we get outside of those, yeah, we can see that corrective move back up, right? We break out of this, 68% chance we land back in it. But remember, you know, we've been building up for quite some time, so some dramatic drop could be coming. We'll pay attention to that, but those signals haven't lined up. Look at the 30-minute. Once again, you're getting across as the price action keeps going up. Selling is not causing that to happen. We're going to talk about the dollar in a little bit because you see these little red bars in this move, and that is telling me, hey, there is actually some insiders selling. Hey, I'm one of those people. I'm selling into this move. I'm not trying to take this all the way up and make $1 million. I am selling into this move. I know that the slow way is the fast way to make money in this market. And I think right now this looks very fishy to me, and we could see some kind of sudden drop sometime this month. And as we do build up towards that weekly expected move, the probabilities start to line up with, hey, if we get outside of this, 68% chance that we start to drop. So as we're doing that early on in the week, if we get up towards this area, you have monthly resistance, you have weekly resistance, and you have daily resistance all in this box up here. So pay attention. Now for the Qs, I just wanted to mention real quick, we're not going to go over Palantir. Remember, it's a 50-50 flip with the earnings. And the last time I checked, that thing was going down. So the Qs that we could experience something. It depends on what they say in their earnings call, if they say anything about inflation or worries of recession, anything like that. But as of right now, you don't really want to play this as some kind of short. Now, I am building a hedging position and then slowly scaling out of my longs, which could turn into some full form short position up in these levels. Now, why would that make sense? Well, then you're competing with these highs up here. So that would make a lot of sense. Hey, maybe this wants to do some kind of big cup, right? And then get a handle. And I can say, okay, if this curls back up into positive territory, that's going to be the moment that it actually heads higher. So if you are a trader looking even to the bull side, you still want some kind of structure before that breakout. If you do things the way that I do them, I don't like to FOMO into any move, even when it looks like a short squeeze. I made some money in this short squeeze. Now I'm scaling out slowly, and I have that hedge that can build into a full-on position once we get up into this area. Apple is in a very interesting spot. It's right in between two very important zones. Remember, this is the one that had all those divergences, right? So if we show you the daily real quick, this is why we were very bullish on Apple even before the earnings. And this was one of the only earnings like ever that I've said, hey, the probabilities, the risk to reward here looks pretty good. You have you have a divergence down here on the MACD and the RSI at the same time, very steep, getting beat up. And then at the same time, what do you have? You have earnings coming up. And from a risk to reward perspective, risk, okay. And your reward, very big, about 2 times. So we knew that the earnings would most likely push us to higher levels. Sure, that happened even quicker than I thought. I thought it would take a few days of buying, but at this point, we just make a big reaction past one zone. So what do? We go dink our head in the other one. So these are sell-off zones, and the fact that we gapped above one is something very important to pay attention to because we're not allowing those sellers to step in here. We gap above it. So what could we do from here? We could use that as some form of support. So we're going to talk about the 30-minute, oops, that's a 15-minute. We're going to talk about the 30-minute today and just show you guys what's happening. This is what you want to see in the overall market, and this is what you are looking for in order to actually take a trade. This is a moment to learn is what I'm overall getting at here, and I'm not trying to be condescending, anything like that. I'm just really want you to actually gain the skill so then you can use other YouTubers as a second form of information, as a second opinion, because you already have the skill to take a trade, okay? We're not going to be live all the time. We're not going to post videos all the time. So right here is what you are looking for. You want that 30-minute MACD to beat down towards that center line and curl back up into positive territory. And what do you see in front of you? Well, if I'm going to head higher, what could the structure be? Well, this level was pretty important. It looks like we could have some kind of left in here or at least some sort of liquidity. And what if we get a shape like this? Some kind of left head and right shoulder. This could be how Apple heads up higher. But until this MACD crosses up into positive territory, I know that that second move isn't coming. Now, if that second move comes, what else do I pay attention to? My weekly expected moves. If I get up in this area, do I have a weekly expected move up there? Do I have divergences? You immediately, after you get a good trade going, you have to pay attention to, do I want to hold on to this? Or do I see things that are going to hurt me? And this is something that can really hurt people with Apple. If we do see an upward move here and we form something like this, there will be divergence, which tells you the momentum is dying out. And I just showed you the SPY is about to go up towards its weekly expected move. So we're really paying attention to these things, but this is what you want to see as a trader in a short squeeze. You don't necessarily want to be looking at the SPY the whole time. Maybe you want to look at an individual name. It's beating down towards the center line. If that crosses, you have a good probability to test the previous high or even go make a new one. So this is the type of thing you are looking for, and this is a much worse, you can see it. This is a much worse place to buy than right over here. Much worse place to buy, because look at that. You just get downgraded. You want to sell. You're like, I'm losing money. And then it turns back up. So this is not where you want to get FOMO'd in. This is telling you, hey, we just reached down and grabbed some buyers, and we can head higher if we get that confirmation. But watch out, because right above you, you do have a sell zone. So you have to really be on your toes. Tesla on the 30-minute, what has it been doing? It has been hanging out down in this area. Now, it was able to take that 180.92. We marked that off as very important. And look where this fight is happening. It's happening at 180.92. We marked that off before we even had this gap up way over here, right? So 180.92, we know that's a very important level, and we're reacting from it. But are we going to see this head higher from here? Well, it's hard to say on the 30-minute, because this right here, not giving enough confirmation. So that means I probably need a better confirmation here. That would be a 2-hour curling up into positive territory. I would look where my weekly ranges are and things like that. But here's the thing. If we continue to squeeze and we continue to see bullishness out of Tesla and it hits something like 205, this is a major sell-off zone. We've had this marked off for a long time. This is where it'll help to gain these skills, because over here we could have a left shoulder. What if down here we actually have a large head, right? Because this could be a massive move. We've piled up for some time. We get the massive move. What if we react all the way up to this area and see some kind of downturn and then scope back out? Okay, boom, left head, right shoulder. We can see it right in front of us. We see the structure, and now we know how we are going to head up. Now, if we are going to head down, I wanted to pull up an hourly here real quick to show you guys it's right at negative territory. If that starts to break into negative territory, it looks like we are going to reach for the downward expected move, or maybe come fill this gap at 168, right? So 168 level looks likely if that hourly actually does turn down into negative territory. Notice when I'm breaking it down, I'm not necessarily just saying, oh, this has to go up, this has to confirm, this has to do this. I want to pay attention to both sides in case I need to flip my position around. Okay, so I don't have a position in Tesla yet. Why? Because I haven't gotten confirmation on this 2-hour. I noticed the wonky price action not giving me a firm confirmation to the upside on any 30-minute or hourly chart. So I say, okay, if I really want confirmation, I need a strong bar from the 2-hour to get up to this level, cross on that MACD, then I have a good shot to get above this high and go towards my next sell zone. So that's how I would be paying attention to things, and I highly encourage, if you want to learn this stuff, if you actually want to take a step to actively learn, I do have the course down in the description. It's $149. Literally, once I wake up, I am putting that price point back up. So right now, if you want that discount of $1 to $149, just $149 for the total course, you get to keep it forever. You can ask me questions about the course and all those things. I give my email plenty. Please, I encourage you to actually take a step forward and try to learn about these stocks, so you can use me as a second opinion and already have the skills. So you're just like, all right, confirmed. I see it too. I'm in. That's how you want to go about it in this market, but you always want to be on your toes and learn about risk management and things like that as well. All of those things are in the course, so I encourage you to go take that tonight. And see, Amazon's doing a lot of what we were talking about in the middle of the day, right? This morning, actually, when we were live, we were like, yes, and people were saying, oh, Amazon's giving it up. The problem here is it's not. This is not dramatic selling. This is not going to flip around into negative territory and start some kind of negative trend. What this is doing is slowly piling up, giving you some flagging that then breaks out, flags a little more, and breaks again. So as of right now, this is making total sense because we're squeezing. We're not seeing any kind of selling really come in. We beat down to the center line. Now we're seeing that curl up, and we have positivity that's there. Now, there is a problem for Amazon being that it is overbought. So the fact that it's overbought means this could be short-lived, and we want to pay attention to something else. Now, this is where the macro side can come in. If Amazon experiences some kind of pump and then loses that right? The sellers actually do step in anywhere in this area, well, what can happen? We could start to downfall from here, and guess what? You have a triple divergence right by negative territory, which means that daily trend can go negative and we can break through 166.12, the last level that we had marked off. That was really, really helpful. This level was really, really helpful. And the cool part about when we tested this level was that weekly expected move that we give out on Patreon for Amazon was right there. So you only had like a 5-minute window to do that. And therefore, that's why I want to encourage you to take the course and gain some skills and really just dedicate yourself to learning, because this is an opportunity here that only lasted 5 minutes. And I guarantee you it would be very hard to go on YouTube and ask a random YouTuber, should I buy this? No, you want to gain the skills. You want to be able to take this and then maybe ask about it for a second opinion. And I'm perfectly fine with that. Now, this up here, we would connect between these highs. We could go a lot higher. We could hit all the way up towards 200 before this ends. We are squeezing. But as of right now, I would really pay attention to if this MACD rolls over at any time, because that could mean we are experiencing some kind of major top for Amazon in the month of May. Nvidia is going up and up and up. This is even getting a buy signal, right? It's getting a buy signal with my indicator. But do I buy when that happens? No, you'd actually be buying at this bar or something like that. And we're trading the shorter time frames and things like that. We're going to go into them. But as of right now, you have a MACD in the daily chart here that is in positive territory. Okay, so you're in daily positive territory. You have a moment where the 5 is able to cross through the 20, very bullish signal, and we can see this start to break through. But what would we want to do? Maybe we want to create some structure first. So what if we come up to this point and then we see that drop off and scoop up, right? We could see left head, maybe even a right shoulder form, right? You don't necessarily want to be YOLOing into any kind of move at this point. A short squeeze is cool and all, but you want to be down at lower levels. So if you're trying to trade this, what would you want to do? Well, the 30 minutes, what we're paying attention to, remember we were noticing the divergences are still there on the RSI, but they're starting to get erased on the MACD. Okay, you just have flatness on the MACD, flatness on the RSI at the same time. So this is leaning towards some kind of pullback still. And I wanted to point that out. The 2-hour divergence has been gotten rid of. So I'm really just leaning towards if we could get some kind of pullback. This is what you want to see as a trader. You want to see that kind of get some selling in, and then start to get tight again and then break up to the upside and then your buy point, right? So is it a good place to buy right here? Not necessarily in my opinion. I would rather see it act like Apple, scoop down, gain some buyers, and then this would be a much better place to take a play than right over here. Real quick, I just wanted to show you that 2-hour on Nvidia, kind of invalidating any kind of divergence that could form here, but I'm glad we were open to it because that was an opportunity for the sellers to step in, but they didn't. So we squeeze even higher. So because we're squeezing even higher, we get rid of that divergence, and now we're getting towards overbought territory on the 2-hour, but this can head higher. How high could it go? Well, on Patreon, you know exactly how high it is priced in to go this week. I give those numbers out on Patreon. That link's down in the description as well. It is very, very helpful. It's a very useful tool. And even in the course, I teach you how to make your own ranges for any stock. Any stock that you want to make a range for the week, you can do it just using the information that I give out in the course, okay? So if you want to make a range for Palantir, you can do that. If you want to make a range for Zillow, I hate Zillow, but you guys know you can make a range for it. So if you want to make a range for some kind of ETF or anything like that, you can do it yourself just by taking that course. I literally give it away in that course. So something to look at here is if you're part of the Patreon, pay attention because as high as that could go, well, we could be heading up towards that weekly expected move very early on in the week, and you guys on Patreon know what that means. AMDizzle. Now AMD, I hope someone had the balls to take this play because AMD has been beaten up for a very, very long time, and this is a point to pay attention to. We have that 2-hour divergence. What's the thing that's very good about this divergence compared to these ones, right? Over here, well, they have a daily divergence behind them as well. We have daily divergence behind it as well, which means daily momentum can take over. So the 2-hour was able to curl up the daily here, and that daily divergence has confirmed. The only problem with AMD is it's moving up very, very quickly without any meaningful pullback on the 30-minute. So I just wanted to show you it's kind of built up at this point. If you're looking at a 15, it probably looks pretty good, and then we could get a reaction up. And remember, this 160 level is what we changed it to live because this is going to be a very important point to carve out maybe some structure. Maybe we want to get out of this zone, touch the top of it, and come back in. Look at this, left head, right shoulder. So at this point, we would be paying attention to upside because we want to pay attention to when that pullback comes. So if we head a little bit higher, we might be hitting that weekly expected move. That means we have a 68% chance for that to drop off by the end of the week, and we're hitting that early on a Tuesday if we keep heading higher from here. So I just want you to be aware of these things, because how you would want to see this as a trader is this the best entry point? No, it is not. Look at the oversold or overbought conditions on the RSI. Look how high up the MACD is and about to cross down. You want this to come down to lower levels, scoop back up. This over here is going to be much better than buying over here, because this will be down towards the center line and you'll have some room on this RSI for those buyers to really push this thing higher for the next leg. All right, so pay attention to that with AMD. This is a very good move. And if daily momentum just keeps going, that's perfectly fine. You could see some kind of big move. We were aware of this. That's why I kept pointing out 183.20, right? That it would be a huge move. And at this point, what do we want to pay attention to? Those daily divergences did confirm. We're seeing an upward move. We're closing back above the 5. If we take back the 20, we can keep going. And we might ignore those weekly expected moves this week, which does happen in a short squeeze sometimes. So if we just keep seeing it squeeze, you're really going to want to pay attention to that 30-minute curling down and then crossing back up to get some kind of entry into a trade. Meta doing something huge today, right? Doing something huge today, taking back definitively this 453.08. Now, the thing with Meta is I want to pay attention to my weekly expected moves. We're approaching those on some of these strong moves. We're approaching those weekly expected moves kind of quickly. So I'm paying attention to Meta. But remember, if we cross on this MACD, it doesn't really matter. We could just see that momentum take over and make a big move up towards even 550, right? So we're at 465, and I'm saying, hey, if this really wants to get squeezing, we could head all the way up to 550 for Meta, and that is something to really pay attention to. This MACD down here hasn't even curled up. This RSI, it's playing with the center line, but it has not crossed it yet. So we have to pay attention to those things. There could be an opportunity here if there is a pullback for a big move. So we want to look at a 30-minute. What does the 30-minute look like? Does this look like a good entry point? No, it does not, right? You knew that right away because you're taking the course and you're part of the Patreon. So you see the setups that I show. None of them are going to look like this if we're looking for some kind of call play. None of them. What could happen from here? Well, if we did something like this, remember 453.08 was very, very important. That is where we gapped up to in the past. We used it as support to head higher, and then that's where we gapped below in order to see that weakness. Now we're able to use it as resistance, head higher. So what do I want to see here if I'm a trader? I want a retest of that level and then see us curl back up. That would give me the center line here to get close to it with the MACD, curls back up, and then I would say this right here is a better buying point than right here. Just because that's a better place to take a play, and I want you to learn from that. That's a better place to take a play, even though it's a similar price, because you have room to go to the upside on your momentum. Okay, we have room to go up. Now, if that daily momentum takes over, we can just keep squeezing. But as of right now, we're going to look at volatility and show you how it still could be a time where volatility comes back in. Now, real quick, I just wanted to show you the 30-minute to show you guys if that volatility comes in even as soon as tomorrow, well, we could see that really start to scale up. But what happens? Well, we talked about the daily over the weekend. We mentioned it multiple times. We could quickly keep squeezing. So what I'm talking about with these pullbacks is, as a trader, that is what you want to see. You don't necessarily want to say like, oh, it has to do this because a YouTuber said so. No, you want to pay attention to the price action. This just means we are squeezing up on low volume. And so I want to pay attention to when could that volatility come back in? And this is one of those points if we can confirm a divergence. Now, this divergence down here, the reason it's important is because we have a 2-hour one at the same time. We have this backing off. Now, this has some room on the MACD, so we can continue to squeeze for a little bit. But maybe this is when the SPY actually goes and hits those weekly expected moves. Okay, so I wanted to pay attention to that, and I wanted to bring that to your attention. 30-minute divergence, you can get some kind of double bottom here that causes the 2-hour to curl back up. Now, if the 2-hour curls back up, it almost did today, trying to confirm a multiple point divergence on the MACD and a triple divergence on the RSI down there. Now, that divergence on the RSI, a little flat, so I'm saying I'm still leaning towards this just being a pullback, and then the call side, right? I'm looking for maybe higher prices and a new all-time high in the SPY. But if we're going to experience some kind of crash, well, the 2-hour is going to curl up, and then I have to pay attention to something very important. The 2-hour divergences, especially a triple divergence, they really like to turn up this daily. This thing is starting to point straight down into negative territory. So that is telling us like, hey, we're squeezing. What did we say once we started to get this bar right here? We lost the 200. The chances that we're squeezing is very high, and we were able to make good money on Friday, right? I was able to make very good money on Friday because I pay attention to these types of things. Now I'm paying attention to the other direction. I'm seeing 2-hour divergence that could turn this thing around. So if this crosses and goes positive here, we will be getting something more dramatic than just a pullback. We might be getting some kind of lower low from the previous low that we just made, right? We might be making a divergence down there and looking for that for a more steady bounce at this point. But as of right now, we know we are squeezing because we are still below the 200 and the daily is in negative territory now. So let's pay attention because the 2 points we're paying attention to the most are going to be 13, which is right below us, and 12.12 because that's when we see spikes of volatility. I'm going to talk about the dollar, and then we're going to look at how the SPY reacts with gold and oil. So we're going to pay attention to a lot of things still going on in this video, so I encourage you to watch all the way through. Press that like button for me. But as of right now, what can we pay attention to with the dollar? Well, interesting enough that we're seeing a big update, and we have a green day in the dollar, which just tells us there are insiders selling in this move. So this is why we have to be a little bit hesitant at this point. And I wanted to bring this to your attention. The fact that we're having green while the market is green, that tells you insiders are selling into this move. And I would be very weary even if we start to head higher because my hedge position might turn into a short position soon. I wanted to bring up gold and oil to show you what's been happening with gold and oil recently compared to the SPY. And I just wanted to point out this level right here where gold started to catch a big run. And when gold was getting that big run, what was happening to the stock market? The SPY on the left there is it is starting to come down. And once gold actually does fully top out, we notice that the SPY actually sees some kind of bounce and gold actually backs off. So that's what I want to pay attention to. And the reason I'm paying attention to it right now is because gold is getting a spike up while the SPY has been spiking up. And that is not something that we've seen in the last few weeks. So we have to pay attention to this. What if gold is telling you that something bad is coming around the corner, maybe something geopolitical, and that you have to be a little bit cautious in this area, especially when the VIX is showing us those signals too. So we are still waiting for a lot of things to confirm. But as of right now, I just wanted to show you how as the gold actually has backed off, we have seen an upward run. And now we're seeing where the SPY is up and gold is up at the same time. And it's kind of a question of who is going to be right. Is gold going to back off and the SPY continues to squeeze? Or is this squeeze on light volume going to add up to some kind of rug pull? Looking at oil, a little bit different story, right? We're seeing these SPY just trickle higher, and what is oil doing? It's trickling higher as well. So as we start to hit the top, they kind of top out at the same time, and then we start to bust down to lower levels. Oil tries to get that bounce. So the fact that they were acting very correlated here, and then around this point, right, around this point of April 22nd, we actually saw this bounce up and then give that away might be something to read into. Now we are seeing a difference in this price action where oil is actually backing off dramatically and the SPY is actually heading to higher prices. So maybe oil is telling you that the correct move for the SPY going forward is a downward one. And this is another scenario of who is going to be right, oil or the SPY. So we have to pay attention to signals like this. And it is kind of telling me that this move might be given up very quickly, very soon. But as always, we are following the price action and we are reacting because we know that stocks will do what they want to do. And all we're looking for is what scenario takes us higher, what signal takes us higher, and can I pay attention to that? While at the same time paying attention to the other side of the coin. You have to know there is a way up and there is a way down. And if you figure out those ways up and ways down, you can make a lot of money in this market. Now, if you need help learning those things, the course is going to be $149 until I wake up tomorrow. So once I wake up tomorrow, that thing is going to go up in price. And I highly encourage you to move forward, learn, and educate yourself instead of trying to ask someone else every single day if you should buy or sell. If your phone goes away or your phone breaks or something like that, and you can't ask someone in real time, then what are you going to do? You're not going to have the skills. So I highly encourage that going forward. But thank you guys so much for the people who have taken the course. I see you guys are doing well. I see you guys reacting to the price action and even donating back to the channel with your wins. And I really appreciate how much gratitude you guys have and know that I'm grateful the other way as well. I'm grateful to you guys so much. Thank you guys for liking and subscribing. Thank you guys for being a part of the Patreon, taking the course. And I just wish you nothing but luck in your trading day tomorrow. And I will be here for you live tomorrow morning so we can watch some more stock market craziness. All right. Have a good night. Stay safe out there and peace.